A new book by a Seattle author is asking us to have a little more radical humility in our everyday lives. That's the name of a new book by Urs Koenig, who is a former United Nations military peacekeeper. Urs joins me now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for writing this book, because I feel like we really do need a little bit more humility, and albeit maybe radical indeed. What does the term, though, radical humility mean to you?
So we often think as the best leaders, people who are confident, have charisma, maybe overconfident. But in my research over the last 10 years, I've found that the best leaders actually have real radical humility. They develop deep self-awareness. They constantly ask their team members and, as parents, their kids for feedback on how they can do better. I know you're a mom too. I'm a dad.
Yeah.
They self-awareness, so they develop meaningful relationships with their people. They see their team members as true human beings versus just human resources who get stuff done for them. And then they apply what we call a growth mindset, meaning they see mistakes and failures as an opportunity for learning and growing. So that's a lot I know, but that's radical humility in a nutshell.
It's amazing. But it is true. I mean, there's some folks, unfortunately, who sadly don't take that opportunity to have that self-awareness and learn from these things. They're afraid to, right? But humility is really the cornerstone of all this. And you say that is the focus of leadership, correct?
Yes, indeed. It is, despite some of the overconfident leaders that do have success out there, it's so much success has been achieved or is achieved in this moment by leaders who fly under the radar, let their team members shine, and deploy radical humility.
Oh, that's important. It really is. How did your work as a peacekeeper inform your view of humility, I would say?
So I rejoined the peacekeeping force, the military, after having been out for 22 years. So it was actually a humbling experience on a personal level. I didn't even know how to dress myself the first day I reported to my peacekeeping command. So on a personal level, it was humbling. But more importantly, I found sort of counterintuitively that going back into the military, a traditional hierarchical environment, that the best commanders actually are deeply humble. I will never forget my commanding officer in the Middle East 2 years ago, who opened an after-action review with these words: "I messed that up, and I know it." And that then made it safe for all of us, her direct reports, to own our own mess-ups, our own mistakes, all because she went first.
And said it was okay.
It was okay.
It's okay, and I have your back, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Can you actually, I'd like to go a little bit deeper. Can you explain what a United Nations military peacekeeper does?
So peacekeeping, the UN peacekeeping has been around for a long time. So what we're tasked with doing is observing, monitoring, sometimes enforcing a ceasefire agreement. So let's look at an example. Hopefully, a sad example, Ukraine and Russia will eventually come to a ceasefire. So when they do, and they both agree, they turn to the UN and say, "Hey UN, we would like a peacekeeping force on the ground that observes, monitors, potentially enforces that ceasefire agreement." The UN then turns around to all its member countries, the US, Italy, Switzerland, and asks for member countries to contribute troops to this peacekeeping mission. So the details depend on the actual mandate.
Right.
They all have different mandates, but that's basically it. We observe, monitor, sometimes we enforce a ceasefire agreement.
And this is why I wanted to ask, because I mean, that's a very, very delicate line to balance, to be there for everyone, to be the overarching sane head in the room at times, and to have to go to enforcement. So I'm glad that I asked you. What is one thing our viewers can do to lead with more humility and be more humble?
Can I give two?
You can give as many as you want, actually.
So the first one is what I talked about my commanding officer in the Middle East did. Actually own a mistake. And I try to do this with my kids. I have 2 teenage boys. Actually admit that I messed up.
Yeah.
So that's one small piece. Okay. Another thing we can do is actually share in a work environment, share a meaningful personal goal with our team members. It could be anything: running a half marathon, losing 20 pounds, becoming a better dad, better listener, or delegator at work. When we share a meaningful personal goal with our team members, we demonstrate to them that we're also work in progress and that we too try to get better.
I have to say, for me, it sounds, and I could be wrong, that this humility and vulnerability really seem to be going hand in hand here. Do you have any advice for handling that?
Yes, so vulnerability, you're absolutely correct. Vulnerability is actually the quickest way to build trust. Everybody admires perfection from a distance. Nobody can relate to it. When we share our shortcomings with our kids and our team members, it makes us relatable. So they're very closely related, humility and vulnerability.
I have so many more questions, but I have to let you go. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing your experience, for writing this book, for teaching us all to be better humans overall.
Thanks so much for having me. That was fun.
Absolutely.